Good morning, YouTube, or afternoon rather. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. As you can see, we are driving. And as you can see, we are driving through a blizzard. It is really coming down out there. It is snowy. It is not actually that cold. It's barely cold enough to be snow instead of rain. But it's not great driving conditions. And as we were driving, we thought, hey, this would be a good opportunity to talk about shipping in cold weather. So for any of you who also live somewhere with the climate of Pluto, you have a few options, right? You can just move to somewhere that humans ought to actually exist. You could pray that global warming increases rapidly, or you could do what we do. So we do a few things, and I'm going to try and run through them quickly, but I do want to explain a few of these points. I'll try not to be too long-winded. First, use better insulation. If you buy the shipping kits, they're good. You know, if you're in really mild, reasonable temperatures, those shipping kits are great. If you're on the extreme ends of the temperature range that are considered safe to ship, those shipping kits use lower quality and thinner insulation. Right? We go to Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever and buy the big, 4x8 sheets of high quality, highly rated insulation, and it's an inch thick, okay? So that right there really increases the ability of your shipping box to hold temperatures steady. Much more so than if you're using lower rated, thinner insulation, right? So just, do the little bit of extra legwork. Get your insulation, cut it yourself if you have to. If you're shipping in really cold or hot weather, right? 2, invest in some cryo packs. It's gonna make shipping more expensive, and people that ship a lot, they don't want to. That's just a sad reality. They just don't want to because they're expensive, and they don't want to say, oh, sorry, shipping is actually $75 instead of $60, right? Or eat the cost themselves. They don't want to. It lowers your profit margins. I get that, and I just don't care because it makes your animals safer. And for me, where we have 4 months out of the year that are really cold, and sometimes it's so cold we just can't ship no matter what we do, right? I'm not trying to say that these things I'm telling you are going to magically make you able to ship no matter what the weather's doing. That's not the case. But we can greatly increase our number of shipping days possible by using these techniques, using cryo packs. So, very briefly, I'll try and explain this in a way that makes sense. Cryo packs are a little plastic pouch full of a liquid, a fluid, that the freezing temperature, or the melting temperature, is 72 degrees, okay? 72. That's literally 40 degrees warmer than water's freezing temperature, right? This is important. What this means is you put in one of these pouches into your shipping box, and you could have it, sitting out on a heat mat that's only at 85 degrees. So your cryo pack is only 85 degrees. That is safe for your animals. You're not going to roast them. You can't. It's not hot enough to. But it is still going to give off some gentle heat as your box starts to cool, because if you're shipping in cold weather. So when it tries to change phase, when it starts to freeze, it's going to give off a lot of energy to make this phase change. And that energy is in the form of heat. It's just not a ton of heat. So if you're really worried, you could put in 5 of these things if you wanted to. You're not going to overheat your animal because they're not that hot. They can't possibly raise the temperature over whatever you had them sitting at. So if they're sitting at 80 degrees, they can't, even if you stuffed 20 of them in the box, it's only going to be 80 degrees in there, which is safe for the animal. It's not going to be, if I put 20 heat packs in a box, it's going to kill it very quickly. It'll be so hot in there, it will roast your animals alive. But the cryo packs won't do that. So you can use them much more safely and not worry about overheating your animal. You can also do the opposite. One of the problems we have a lot is that it stays cold here longer than most places. So as we're shipping, it might be 45 degrees here in Anchorage, might be 85 degrees in the location. I don't want to use a bunch of heat packs. So I can use Cryo Packs. I might use one heat pack and start it really early so that it's kind of running out of heat by the time it gets out of Alaska. But I also have some Cryo Packs in there because the Cryo Packs, even if they are still going, which they are still going because that's not how, anyway, we'll get to the heat pack side of things as well. My point is just, if you get your head around how to use Cryo Packs, you can ship more of your animals more times during the year safely. And I do mean that. It's much safer. I have a feeling we have had a few of our shipments, the animals' lives have been saved because we had Cryo Packs in there. You know, maybe there was an unexpected delay or even a really long delay and the heat pack started to run out, but we had Cryo Packs in there. You know, we couldn't have put in 4 heat packs. It would have killed the animal, but we can put in Cryo Packs. Anyway, enough of that. Heat pack use. Heat pack use is extremely important. You know, your typical box, if you're shipping a little snake or a little lizard, is going to be around the 9 by 12 by 6 inch dimensions, right? You cannot shove a bunch of heat packs in there. You will overheat your animal. But much of the year in most of the US, you got to use some heat. So they make 20, 40, they make a bunch of different, you know, time lengths in hours of heat packs. We typically use 20 hours, 40 hours, or 72-hour heat packs, depending on our need. Like I was just starting to explain, if it's cold here and hot at the destination, I will use a 20-hour heat pack and start it early, so that by the time it's leaving Alaska and coming into warmer areas, the heat is running out from that heat pack. You know, I don't want to be pumping a bunch of heat into a box if that box is sitting somewhere that's 80 degrees, right? If I'm expecting delays, which I ship always expecting delays, even though they don't always happen, I always ship expecting delays, I will often use a 72-hour heat pack, because then if it misses its connecting flight in Memphis or Indianapolis, it doesn't run out of heat. It still has heat, right? You have to really do some thinking. Don't just get in a groove where you're like, this is how I always ship and this is how I've always done it, and so I'm gonna mindlessly ship the same way every time. That will not be the safest method. It just won't. Especially if you live somewhere with an extreme climate. If you live in Phoenix, you have to really think about when you can ship, what types of insulation and heat packs and all these types of things, right? It matters. I promise it matters. And the first time you lose an animal, all of a sudden it will sink in like, wow, I should have done something different, right? And you know, the tendency is to play a blame game. Well, it was FedEx's fault, they delayed. Well, yeah, but it was still your animal, right? You know, you can put the finger of blame on whoever you want, but your animal still died. So, a few other things to consider. You need to watch the weather, not only the temperature, but the weather where you are at, where it's going to get routed through, and where it is going, okay? So a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's a good temperature all the way around, so we're fine. Well, what if there is a massive hurricane smashing Georgia or Florida or Louisiana, wherever? That does have ripple effects across the country, okay? What if there's a huge winter storm smashing New England? That can have ripple effects across the country. What if there is a pandemic and there's an Omicron surge and 35% of the FedEx pilots are out? Well, that's going to dramatically affect shipping, of course. So I'm not trying to say like, oh my gosh, this is impossible. You have to keep 9,000 factors constantly spinning in your head in order to ship safely. But you should use your intellect to figure out, is this safe or not? Now, you have some tools. One, use Ship Your Reptiles. Go to their website, check their top banners. If there's anything that they consider of great concern with shipping, they will list it right there in their top banner. It's like a red banner at the top of the page. I check like literally 4 times a week. I look for anything coming up that might affect shipping. They will warn you, you know, the Super Bowl's coming up. They're gonna say, hey, the Super Bowl's happening in blankety blank city. I wouldn't ship there this week. The traffic's gonna be ridiculous. Roads are gonna be blocked off. Trucks are not gonna be able to deliver. Just don't ship there this week. They will warn you of things like that if you check. So do your due diligence. Use the resources available to you. If you feel like, man, I don't know if it's gonna be safe this week, just don't ship. Now, there's this constant pressure between you and your customer. You want to deliver for them. You want to deliver quickly. You want good customer service. You want good reviews. They're just excited to see their animal that they purchased. Of course, they want it sooner. That is human nature. You have to be willing to say no. You have to. If it's too cold, you know, if it's 5 degrees outside, I just don't ship. I don't care if there might be some way to possibly squeak in, and it doesn't matter. I just don't ship. I'm not gonna risk the animal. And no, I don't, you know, some people are like, well, yeah, you know, this is a $10,000 snake, so I can't risk it. But you would risk a $100 snake? That's messed up. I think that's messed up. If you think it's a risk to the animal's life, then don't do it. And be polite to your customer, you know, don't chew them out or anything. Sometimes they just don't understand. But explain to them, like, I don't have the capacity to keep this box climate controlled when it's this cold out or when it's this hot out, right? So that's the gist of the things I wanted to talk about. You must watch the temperature and weather systems and major events all the way through the route. Generally, it's gonna mean you gotta check Memphis and Indianapolis, because those are 99% of the time where it's gonna route through. You need to be willing to use the equipment that's gonna keep you safest. Often for me, in a cold climate, that means cryo packs and heat packs in tandem, depending on exact temperatures and things. Use better insulation. Be willing to communicate with your customer who bought the animal. If you need to wait a week or wait a month sometimes. I don't think we've ever had to wait a month other than this last December and January, but it wasn't because of temperatures here. It was because Memphis was having horrible storms, just one after another, and there was this huge pilot shortage with FedEx, right? But that was the only time we've ever had to wait that long. Usually, you know, you wait a week or two and a good shipping window comes up, right? Now, I don't live in Arizona, right? I don't live in somewhere that's so brutally hot in the summer that I have to worry about too much heat, right? Sometimes I have to worry about that to places I'm shipping to, but that might add a new wrinkle that I haven't had to deal with. So you might need to look up somebody who lives in a really, really hot place if you want that kind of information. Regardless, I think that's enough to drop on you guys. I hope that there were a few pointers in there that might be useful to you looking to ship. I know shipping is something that holds people back. I have friends who would love to take their hobby a little bit bigger, but they're only willing to ship locally. I'm sorry, not ship locally, but sell locally because they don't want to ship. And I sympathize with that, I really do. I'm just trying to give pointers to those who do want to ship and are nervous, right? Because it's nerve-wracking. You put your animal that you love, that you cherish, that you hatched out into a box and you send it off across the country. That is scary, but it can be done. We have shipped hundreds and hundreds of animals, and we feel that even in a climate like ours, it can be done safely. That is all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.